You have a starting point. We all have a starting point, no matter if it's dog training or anything personal that you want to set a goal to move forward in your life. And out in the distance is that outcome, that ideal outcome that you would like. And there appears to be this through line, that like a highway, an expressway right to our goals. But that is perfection. And perfection, any of you who have ever set goals, as you know, is not possible. That is a mythical line towards our goals. We can't follow the perfect line, but we can progress forward. And that's the thing that I really want you to take home about this presentation. You have to take that first step. So you gather all the information, and a lot of people I see in dog training that they're information gatherers. They want to make sure they don't make a mistake and not get information from all the different trainers so that they can start tomorrow. Start today. Use what you know right now and take the first step. That first step requires courage, because let's say you want to teach your dog running contact, but you don't want to make a mistake. So you do nothing. Be brave. The first step takes courage. And here's the thing, even though ideally it's taking us right on that through line towards our goal, in reality, that first step is going to go all over the place. It might even go backwards. But the important thing is that you keep in your mind's eye what that ideal outcome is for you. Because then no matter how far off the main line you go, you will still know where you want to be, so you'll still keep working to progress forward. And that is the most important thing. Keep moving forward towards your goals. The first step, it's a powerful one, because even though you might be afraid to take it, it's going to give you a ton of information. It's going to give you vision towards what you can do next. Take the first step. And when I say the first step, it might be your first 1, 2, 3 training sessions. I'll call it one step, because you'll just keep moving forward in the same linear path until you realize, wait a minute, I think I got to make a change here. And then when you get to that realization, you're going to go, I don't know what to do. And that red line going all over the place, that's your brain going helter-skelter, going, oh my gosh, I don't know what I should do next. Maybe I should just start over. But here's the thing. You can't start over. Yesterday is no longer available to any of us. You are not the same as you were yesterday. You've gone through our video series maybe. You've got new education. You can't unknow what you know. You've done many training sessions with your dog. Your dog can't unknow what he knows. So maybe you didn't train the perfect thing. Maybe your dog's jumping off of the A-frame. Maybe you're wanting to train start lines and your dog's breaking all the start lines. You can't go back and start where you were, because you and your dog have different knowledge. But what you can do is start today and move forward, keeping in mind your ideal outcome, and start progressing forward. And so what you're going to do is you need a change of tact, and you start moving towards a new goal. And you go past the through line. You don't mean to, but that's just the way it is. You think you're moving in the right direction, and you look at where that line passes through our red line. You are making progress, and that's the important thing. And you're going to get all the way down to some arbitrary level, and you're going to go, wait a minute, I got to turn around because I'm not getting the results I want. That arbitrary level is what I would call a range of acceptable behaviors, and we all have them. And they're going to be different for each of us. A range of acceptable behaviors for ourselves as trainers, and for our dogs and our expectations of the dogs. So within that range, let's take a novice person. Perhaps their ideal outcome, their ideal goal, if you're like me, when I first started out in agility, my ideal outcome was just to see my dog doing the obstacles, running a course. I just wanted to run a course. And so perhaps if your dog goes off sniffing, you would just get their attention back and keep moving forward. If the dog runs off, you would call them back on course and keep moving forward. If the dog's walking or trotting rather than really all out running, you would just cajole them, but you keep putting them on to the next obstacle, All of those things, whatever they are, wide turns, knock bars, they're all within inside of your range of acceptable behaviors. And a lot of them were within my acceptable behaviors when I first started out. But here's what happens. We all have things that are outside of our range of acceptable behaviors. And here's what's going to happen. You might be going along happily changing your tact every time you realize you're not moving in the direction you want and you get a new tact. But then when the behavior, either yours or your dog's, falls outside of what is acceptable, one of two things is going to happen. So let's, for example, say your dog has been distracted, running off, sniffing, but now he's gone from running off sniffing to targeting dogs. He's chasing down dogs and potentially he's biting you, or maybe biting the judge or biting another dog. So that behavior has fallen outside of the range of acceptable behavior to you. You're either going to stop and create a new path and work diligently hard to overcome that. Your new goal now isn't seeing your dog to see agility equipment. You abandon that goal. And you do either work on your dog having a better recall and having more value for you, or you might just say, my dog's not going to be an agility dog. I'm not going to see my dog doing agility equipment. It's just going to be a family pet. Right? So a lot of the times people get frustrated or discouraged by the going so far away from that through line. But as long as you're making progress, you can keep moving forward, and a lot of people do. They're not moving as fast as they'd like towards their goals, but they keep moving towards them, and eventually they get there. So maybe their dog takes a year or two longer, but they finally get them running an agility course. You're making progress. So every time, even though you're going all the way up here and all the way down here, do you see that red dot? It's moving forward. You are inching along that through line for yourself. But if you looked at the all the way up as a unit of time, and you were to map that unit of time along the through line towards your goal, take the next step. In just those first two steps, if you had a narrower acceptable range of behavior, you could be a lot further along your goal. Instead of just being there, you could be all the way down there. Now, how do you get that narrower range of behavior? Education. That's number one. So those of you who are watching this from inside of Handling 360, we have narrowed your range of acceptable behaviors in the plans that we have here on our course. For the rest of you, it could be reading books, reading DVDs, or watching DVDs, working with a great coach, somebody who is really experienced and really understands the sport. They can narrow your range. Now, a not so great coach could actually widen your range. Be careful of that. But you could consciously do it yourself, but without the education and the know-how, it becomes tougher. But here's the thing. Even if you're all the way up and all the way down, as you are progressing, think of it as driving a car at night. You have the beams from your lights. And what you need to do right now is lit. You can't see what's off in the darkness. You can't see the path to the ideal goal. That's not clear to you. But you can see what you need to do today, and that's what you should be doing. Be courageous, be brave, take those steps, and keep moving forward on your path, because a really cool thing happens. You see, when you first started out, how wide the range of acceptable behavior was? Well, let's look as you get closer to your goal. The range narrows, and the range narrows for a very good reason. Because early on, let's say you were teaching your dog to hold a sit at the start line, you wouldn't consciously be aware of your dog's weight shifting, of the butt coming off the ground a bit, of the forward paw moving, of before, all that you might notice is your dog blowing by you, taking obstacles. And so you have to consciously become aware of those little things when your range of acceptable behavior was wide. As you get closer to your goal, those things move from being conscious thoughts on your part, oh, watch my dog's feet, watch my dog's head, to unconscious habits. Because the range of acceptable behavior as you move towards your ideal outcome becomes narrower, and you have developed some really good new habits. They're no longer conscious thoughts for you, you just do them. And that's the neat thing. Now, you might look at an elite trainer, somebody like myself who's been on the podium at a world championship, and you may say, you get to train your dogs all day long, that's why you're so good. But really, that's not the case, because those of us at the top of the sport, all that we're operating on is a narrower boundary for acceptable behaviors. So we change our tact a lot quicker, which means we progress down that line a lot faster. It's not that we train anymore. As a matter of fact, we train a lot less. But we have a very narrow range, and we will change our course when we see things that may lead to behaviors we don't want to see, which means we're running along that through line pretty darn closely. Don't get me wrong, we all have our challenges and we're all going to move up and down it, but the range of what's acceptable to an elite trainer will be a lot narrower. And also what happens is, as that range narrows, it's like you're riding with high beams on. Suddenly you can't just see 6 feet in front of your car. Suddenly the path gets a lot clearer at a longer distance into the future, where you're heading towards your ideal outcome or your ideal goal. Once you narrow that range of what's acceptable, your training becomes far more efficient. And with efficient training, what happens is it lowers the frustration for you and it lowers the frustration for your dog. And that's the really cool thing about training. And what happens now is, let's say my first goal, maybe your first goal, was to see the dog just do agility. I just want to see him go over the obstacles. And then you achieve that with me, my very first run, 65 faults, thank you. And now I have a new goal. I want to see my dog qualify. And so I want to keep the speed and all that fun stuff, and I want to get a qualifying score. And so we have a new goal. Once you've achieved that first goal, you move on to a new goal. And guess what? You don't start with that big range. You start with your new narrower band of acceptable behaviors. You move towards your next goal, which may be qualifying. You achieve that one, you go towards your next one, which may be getting to a national finals or getting on a podium at a world championship. Who knows? That's how goal setting works. Let's just recap it. Keep in mind, it's progress, not perfection. Please don't get discouraged when you go above that through line or the highway towards your goal. None of us has the free pass to the highway. No matter where you are, no matter how far above the highway you get, keep focused on your ideal outcome, and that's what's going to drive you forward. That's what's going to keep you putting one foot in front of the other. That's what's going to keep you motivated to keep trying. Know that there's no going back to yesterday. You have a new starting point today. Yesterday is done. You can't unknow what you already know. Good coaching or good education is going to narrow the lines of acceptable behavior for you and your dog, which is going to make your training efficiency skyrocket, getting you to your goals a lot faster. Once you've achieved your goal, please set new ones and keep setting new ones, because that's what keeps life fun for both you and your dog. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you're not watching it on my blog, you can go to my blog at susangarrettdogagility.com. I've got a lot more great articles there for you to see. Thanks, and have a great day.